On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest new Q posts. You guys are going to want to check these out. Plus, a lot of the breaking news stories that continue to show us that the setup was against President Trump. And now we are engaged in actively watching a cover-up take place in front of our eyes. You guys are going to want to stick around and check this out. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always like to begin by saying thank you for everyone who's come here. If you haven't already, please come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted, and don't forget to hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. So here we are. We're picking up right where we left off. We left off at Q post 3347, and that was 3 days ago. Now we have two more new Q posts that we're going to be picking up at Q post 3348. But before we do that, I always encourage everyone to come back here to the landing page. Watch these last few videos if you want to get caught up on the latest Q posts and all of that different stuff. I really encourage you to do that. And moreoverly, because YouTube's not going to suggest this content. For whatever reason, they've decided to discriminate against the content that is put onto this channel while amplifying the content of the fake news media, which makes absolutely no sense to me. So they're more than willing to share with you former intelligence officials who get on national TV and lie to your face and misrepresent what happened and misrepresent the facts and lie and mislead the American people. But when I get on here and tell you the truth, for some reason, they don't want you to see this. So that's why I always ask you guys to share these links, because obviously YouTube does not want to help spread the truth. They want to help spread propaganda, as they've made very clear with their draconian policies and measures that they take into account with their quote unquote machine learning, which decides what content is worthy for you to see and what content is not. So with that being said, let me just tell you guys to watch these videos, share them, just hit the share button, whether it's on your Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and just share it, get it out there. And if you don't know what QAnon the Great Awakening is, I always encourage everyone to come back here, watch this video. What is QAnon the Great Awakening? That'll give you all the information you need about QAnon the Great Awakening and all that good stuff. But let's jump right into it. Here is the latest posts. Now, there's not much here, obviously, but that does not mean there's not a lot going on in the news and a lot of stories that we're going to want to talk about, we're going to look at here on the channel, especially the stories that you guys know the mainstream media won't touch with a 10-foot pole. They won't tell you the truth, guys. That's why I do what I do. If they did their job, there would be no need for this. But unfortunately, that is not the situation. So we'll just go right forward here with this Q post. So this is just a Q post to a tweet by this Phoenix 24. I think that's how you say that. It's PH, it's supposed to, I don't know. Anyway, it says, Japan knows Q. Did you think this movement was an isolated anomaly, bigger than you can imagine? Where we go one, we go all worldwide. QAnon. And it has this picture, and in this picture, you can clearly see they're in Japan. And it's epic. And I just have to say to the lovely young woman there, arigato saimashita. Thank you for putting that sign up, and arigato saimashia shida to the Japanese people who support Trump and support Q. I think it's really great. So thank you to everybody out there. And yes, I do speak Japanese. Just one word, a few, but and I probably butchered it anyway. But this is what Q is pointing us to. And we all know it's a global movement. I have people reach out to me from all over the world. And that's just me. And I know other people who do this kind of work and stuff. They have people reach out to them from people all over the world too. I know I have people from the UK to Australia to New Zealand to Germany to France to Canada to you name it. And obviously Japan. People are following this, and it's a movement. It's really big. And here's something interesting. So it says here, Japan public, China non-public, South Korea non-public, Q. Now, what could this mean? Well, for me, I think the first thing that stands out to me and what this is referring to is the fact that Q is not known in China. And that makes complete sense because of the Orwellian censorship that happens on the Chinese internet, which is, protected by the Great Firewall of China, which is this incredible set of firewalls and censors who work 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the Communist Chinese Party to censor content and to keep the Chinese people basically asleep and not aware of anything that's going on in the outside world unless they want the Chinese people to know about it. So anything controversial, anything political that goes against the Communist Chinese Party really just doesn't get to the Chinese people. And I've done extensive research on China for years now, and their society, their culture, because I'm obsessed with the fact that they're the ones who are doing these things to our country. They're stealing our IP, our intellectual property. They're infiltrating our institutions. They're cyber attacking our our infrastructure. They're actively involved in devaluing their currency against ours in order to have a currency war. They're actively engaged in all types of economic manipulation in their own economies. So to me, it's telling us that China obviously doesn't know about Q, and then you have South Korea, who I'm not sure on this one. I think it's kind of the same situation where Q just hasn't really made it to South Korea, and there's probably something to do with the way content is filtered over there, even though it is a lot more free than China. But obviously, maybe Q hasn't caught on in South Korea yet, which could be understandably so, given the fact that there's a lot of stuff we cover talks about North Korea and what's going on with Kim Jong-un. And I'm sure there are people in party officials everywhere who don't want this information getting out, if you know what I mean. So I think that's kind of what Q's saying. But, I'm going to go ahead and say one other thing that you guys should know is all the stuff that's been going on with President Trump in China or in Japan is not just by accident. Okay. I want to make it very clear. Japan, the Japanese and the Chinese have a complete disdain for each other, to the point where even to this day, you have the Chinese Communist Party running. They have channels on in China that run 24/7 propaganda war movies that villainize the Japanese and rehash these heinous massacres and these heinous atrocities which the Japanese did in fact perpetrate against the Chinese people. Yes, and the Japanese did some pretty bad stuff to us as well, thinking about Pearl Harbor and other World War II. But let's put it this way. The difference between what's going on with China and Japan is in between anything else, I guess, would be that whenever China wants to whitewash something, whenever China wants to really rally up the country, and, if you guys remember, like right after 9/11, when we had all the flags and all the patriotism, and everybody was, you walk down the street and it'd be "United We Stand," and people would be waving American flags. And I remember that. It was a great feeling, actually, to have that kind of, camaraderie under a national identity. I thought that was really a powerful moment in time. And I'm actually going to be releasing stories about that on another. That's a side note. We'll just stick to this. But so what they do whenever they want to drum up this national sentiment to go against outsiders and to drum out any negative news that may be surfacing about the Communist Party or whatever, one of their biggest go-tos is to start saber rattling about how Japan committed all these atrocities, and they have these the Chinese film industry actually specializes in making these fictional war movies that depict crazy stuff, like a Chinese guy, taking out an entire platoon, a Chinese soldier or Chinese farmer, excuse me, taking out an entire platoon of Japanese soldiers with a rock. I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. But anyway, the disdain and hatred, I guess you could call it almost, but from the Chinese to the Japanese, and I think it goes kind of both ways. I don't think the Japanese are big fans of China either, although it seems they've progressed a little bit past where the Chinese currently are, as far as getting, moving forward into the future and not, grasping on the past. But this is a tool they use in China all the time to change the narrative. And I think President Trump, with this visit on Memorial Day in Japan, is just he's thumbing his nose at these people and saying, look, you basically is a part of this trade war. We'll partner up with Japan, and we'll gladly work with all of your Asian neighbors, and we will just we'll go right around you, China. We don't need you. We don't need you to reject our trade deals. We don't need you to steal our intellectual property. We don't need you to act as this, nipping at our heels every 5 seconds, trying to overtake us as the the world power, whatever you want to call it, world's largest economy, so on. We don't need you, and we will fight this trade war all around you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's the message I get for China, especially given all this stuff. And this was epic. President Trump was the first U.S. president to attend a sumo match. I think this is all just like totally, rubbing it in the face of the Chinese and showing that we have allies in that region, and we have strong allies who actually won't take advantage of us, who won't steal our intellectual property, who won't abuse the World Trade Organization, who won't engage in cyber warfare against us, who won't engage in economic warfare against us. And this is us giving that message directly, loud and clear, to the Chinese people. That's the way I read it. And of course, the next one here is what we're going to talk about now. It's apparently, well, this is a post we got back in March, and this is something that it's been true since day one. And Q's been saying a message very similar to this since day one, or at least since the first day of the media attacks coming against Q. They called us everything in the book. And I feel like, because of my work and what I've done with this movement and everything, I take it very personally when they say things like everybody who follows Q is a deranged conspiracy theorist. I think that that's completely fake. I think it's completely false. It's a misrepresentation of the truth. And I think that you, the patriots out there watching this, would agree with me that none of us are deranged. None of us are anything but patriots who love our country. I'm sure there's the fringe of some people who take things the wrong way and put things together in their head that aren't there. But let's be quite clear. The people who follow this movement, the people who are the ones most involved, are the ones who are the most patriotic, in my opinion. And of course, there's fringe outliers everywhere. But the majority of people who follow this movement are patriots who love this country, who want truth, who want justice, who want equality of the law, and who've seen injustice and corruption that has taken place in the upper echelons of our government, and they've had enough. We're sick of it. We're sick of being taken advantage of, abused, and used by corporate or corrupt politicians and corporate entities and fake news media. So that's what it comes down to. And it says, ask yourself a very simple question. Would the fake news media and other controlled assets expend this amount of time and resource attacking attempt to discredit, cast as conspiracy, LARP, this movement, if it did not pose a significant threat, danger? You attack those who threaten you the most. Logical thinking, Q. Which is why anytime anything happens, there'll be fringe media, outlets that'll take it as a chance to, go after Q and say, look at what happened here. It's all because Q people did this, and it's all because these deranged conspiracy theorists said that. Well, guess what? That's a part of being in a society that values the freedom of speech. And that's a part of developing an informed citizenry, is having the ability to ask questions, as in the Socratic method, how you find out things you don't know, right? You ask questions, and then you investigate, and you objectively try to observe and rationalize facts in order to create an idea of what actually happened, because we know we're not getting the truth from the people who tell us that they're the end-all be-all of what is true in society, aka the corrupt politicians, aka the fake news media, aka the Orwellian censors in big tech. It's beyond me for us to believe that as in the United States of America, where we take our rights probably more seriously than any other country in the world, especially our Bill of Rights, which has outlined specifically the right to freedom of speech and the right to bear arms and and so on and so on. So this is really, to me, just one of those things. The best thing that I ever heard, the funniest one, was they literally called us Pizzagate on bath salts. That was a headline. I don't want to misattribute it, but I'm going to go ahead and guess and say it was probably out of either like BuzzFeed or Vox or one of those outlets. They called us literally Pizzagate on bath salts. That was the headline. That's what they think of you for asking questions. That's what they think of you for wanting to investigate and dive deeper. That's what they think of you for being a logical, rational-minded, free thinker who doesn't just, repeat what is on TV screen. Yes, media person, you are correct. We are wrong. Sorry. That's my best robot voice, if you guys couldn't tell. But I was trying to do the NPC voice. But it literally, that's what I think Q's highlighting here. That's what I think these posts are meant to tell us about and to just point to. And I think that everything is happening. President Trump's order the declassification, all those placeholders that Q gave us in Patriots Fight Board over on the Q Research, or in 8chan, they're going to start coming true, and they already have. President Trump orders the full declassification. Now what do the Democrats do? Oh, this is crazy. When, like, a week ago, they were saying, why doesn't he just declassify everything and unredact all the documents? And then President goes, well, I'm going to declassify everything. And they go, this is going to be harmful to sources and methods. Yeah, the sources and methods, like the ones that Mary Fanning and Alan Jones reported on, where President Obama was abusing the surveillance tools of the CIA after having Edward Snowden go steal them from. This is crazy. You can't make this stuff up. So Edward Snowden originally goes and works for the CIA. The CIA then tasks him to go to the NSA to steal all of their surveillance technology. And then lo and behold, right around 2012, right after that happens, you have, you have the Obama administration allegedly involved in starting one of the most illegal and massive spying operations on the American people that has ever been seen to this day, using a system called the Hammer. And one of the patriots, a man named Dennis Montgomery, came forward in 2015 to the FBI with 47 hard drives of proof showing that he was contracted by the Obama administration with the director of the CIA, John Brennan, to go to the White House Communications Agency and set up this surveillance tool called the Hammer. And then he was incrementally asked to do more and more illegal things that included him doing mass spying surveillance on the American people illegally, without a predicate, without a FISA warrant, violating the Section 702 standards that outline how the rules for unmasking. All of those policies were violated. And they weren't just violated in a sense of, oh, yeah, well, we were going after a terrorist and we may have looked at somebody's name we shouldn't have. No. Violated in the sense of, hey, Dennis, could you do us a favor? Now, this is the Patriot Dennis who came forward with this information to the FBI, which now the FBI doesn't seem to have any record of. They don't seem to have those 47 hard drives, or if they do, they don't talk about them ever. But they went to this guy, Dennis, and were like, hey, okay, well, set up this system and we'll use it to go after terrorists. And then the next thing was, well, we need to get these bank records. So go into Chase. Let's hack into Chase and we'll get the bank records of this one person who's a terrorist. And then it went from that to going, well, it's going to be really risky for us to break into the bank database over at Chase Bank every time we need information. So why don't you just do us a favor and as an independent contractor, why don't you just go ahead and take the entire Chase database? Take it all. That means you, me, anybody who uses a Chase bank account, your information was probably illegally taken by the Obama administration, held in its own personal databases as searchable query databases. Then they could spy on anyone. They had the keys to the kingdom, people. They had the keys to the kingdom, and they were using them against you, we, the American people. And that's what happened. And Dennis Montgomery, to this day, I just wanted to clarify that the reporting out of it's called theamericanreport.org. Mary Fanning, Alan Jones, General McInerney, Admiral Ace Lyons, Dave Yondo over Operation Freedom. These people are uncovering this right now as we speak. So you guys are going to want to pay attention to not only this channel, but others like them who are doing this incredible work and exposing this so that we can make sure it never happens again, right? Because, of course, you have the ex-CIA chief, John Brennan, still has his security clearance somehow, even though it was revoked last summer by President Trump. This is another unbelievable story. But what I love about this is after we heard Sarah Sanders and the White House press secretary accuse John Brennan and others, I believe, of monetizing and politicizing their security clearances. And then they said they were going to get rid of them. Now, apparently they did not follow through on that, but I think this is genius, okay? what happened was they say that they were hampered by aides who slow rolled the president and by Justice Department officials who fought Trump, warning he was jeopardizing national security. So all of these deep state Obama plan leftovers who are still there, these individuals are the ones who kept this from happening. So it's time that we force the issue and just put a huge spotlight on this and say, we demand that the former director of the CIA, John Brennan, have his security clearance removed and revoked immediately, because as it was told to us earlier by the White House press secretary, these people are, in fact, they're weaponizing by politicizing and monetizing their security clearances against this country. These are traitors who are being given $3,000 an episode to sit up there and to lie to you. Every time John Brennan or James Clapper gets on one of the networks, CNN or MSNBC, they're getting $3,000 to lie to the American people. And then companies like Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, they promote this information out there. They go and they put it in their suggested algorithms, and they give them the best kind of featuring, and they put them as authoritative sources. These criminals are all in it together. It's the corrupt politicians. It's the Silicon Valley censor elites. It's the corporate cronies. I mean, and I don't even want to get into it other than to say it's time that we get rid of this security clearance. And this was all thanks to some pretty in-depth reporting. Tom Fitton's doing a great job at Judicial Watch. If you don't follow Judicial Watch or you don't follow Tom Fitton, you need to do that right now. Those are two organizations doing an incredible amount of work, along with many others who I've already noted by telling you their names and pointing you to their websites. So check that out. But here's another one. So apparently, this story just came out. Joe Hoft of the Gateway Pundit telling us the latest transcript release from the New York FBI Assistant Director Sweeney tosses Comey under the bus and has no idea what happens to the Wiener laptop. So it's a long story. I'm not going to read every part of it, but the general gist of it is that, well, I'll read you the conclusion, but they still apparently have, they say they know where the FBI, where the Anthony Weiner laptop is. But there are two parts of this I want to read to you. I want to read to you this part where Erik Prince outlines exactly what they did and then the summary of it. So here's a report of what Erik Prince said that they found on the laptop of Anthony Weiner. It says, Prince claimed he had insider knowledge of the investigation that could help explain why FBI Director James Comey had to announce he was reopening the investigation into Clinton's email server last week. Quote, because of Wienergate and the sexting scandal, the NYPD started investigating it. Through a subpoena, through a warrant, they searched his laptop. Sure enough, found those 650,000 emails. They found way more stuff than just information pertaining to the inappropriate sexting this guy was doing. Prince claimed, quote, they found State Department emails. They found a lot of other really damning criminal information, including money laundering, including the fact that Hillary went to the sex island with convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Clinton went there more than 20 times. Hillary Clinton went there at least 6 times, he said. Quote, the amount of garbage that they found in these emails of criminal activity by Hillary, by her immediate circle, and even by other Democratic members of Congress was so disgusting, they gave it to the FBI and they said, we're going to go public with this if you don't reopen this investigation and you don't do the right thing with timely indictments, Prince explained. Quote, I believe I know, and this is from a very well-placed source of mine at One Police Plaza in New York, the NYPD headquarters, the NYPD wanted to do a press conference announcing the warrants and the additional arrests they were making in this investigation. They've gotten huge pushback to the point of coercion from the Justice Department, with the Justice Department threatening to charge someone that had been unrelated in the accidental heart attack death of Eric Garner almost 2 years ago. That's the level of pushback the Obama Justice Department is doing against actually seeking justice in the email and other related criminal matters. So let me explain what this story is telling us. It's telling us that, and this has all been reported, but it's very pertinent to what we're talking about now. It's telling us that apparently the conversations were had between the Attorney General at the time, Loretta Lynch, and the NYPD in the New York U.S. Attorney's Office, where they were basically threatening to go after police officers and others who were involved in this Eric Garner death if they even spoke about what they found on that laptop. This is, yeah. So I'll read you kind of the summation here of it all because it's rather long. I'll leave a link to it if you want to read the full article. But it says, in summary, the Obama administration's corrupt FBI, DOJ, and AG all were working to cover up and stop an investigation into Anthony Weiner's laptop emails before the 2016 election. An individual or a group of individuals forced these crooks to open up the second Hillary email investigation in late October. Attorney General Lynch may have tried to use the Garner investigation to coerce individuals in New York to stop looking into Weiner's emails. All these Obama crooks were hoping for a Hillary win. Fortunately, President Trump won. That sums it up in a nutshell. So, of course, a few other quick stories. You have Ted Lieu and Ana Navarro, the fake conservative over at CNN who hates the president with a passion, and so does Ted Lieu, really, if you look at it. But they took this quote out of context. There was some quote that was made by some Time editor that he made up the whole thing. It says Kim Jong-un is smarter and would make a better president than sleepy Joe Biden. That's literally a completely fictional quote, but they ran with it, and it's just, okay. Yeah, we know they ran with it. And of course, Facebook gearing up for the 2020 elections, saying, if you break up Facebook, it'd make it harder for us to crack down on offensive pages, aka conservative pages, because as you can see, you can't even fathom the kind of evil that we're up against, the kind of these are the former aristocracies. These are the former people, people who are just used to ruling the world. And that's what they are used to doing. So they want to shut you down and put their information over what information they see is threatening to their power and control the narrative and lie to you. And all these companies are involved in it. And it's maddening to me. And then you have the Los Angeles Times writing reports like this, where it says, a doctored video of Nancy Pelosi shows social media giants are ill prepared for 2020. Are you kidding me? First of all, okay, so they slowed the video down a little bit. I have about a dozen videos on my hard drive I could pull up that show you an incoherent, babbling, stumbling, wet-brained, drunk woman on stage trying to formulate thoughts and sentences, and it's like watching, a toddler try to make their first words. But, one video that happened to be slowed down a little bit is now going to mean that we have to call for social media to basically throw the hammer down. Like it's communist China and something goes wrong and you just blanket blame everybody. Okay. And then, of course, we have the same NSA tools that we're talking about in these reports being used against our country. Thanks a lot to the people who, like Eric Snowden, who put that into the world, and whoever did the Vault 7 drop. Thanks. That's really great. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. A few things before we go. Obviously, come here, click the like button. Make sure you follow and hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications. Watch these videos, share them on your social media. Leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about all this. Couple other ways you can help. Come over here and find me on Twitter at JustInformYou on Twitter. That's a cool way you can help out. Also, come find me here on JustInformNews.com. Links to all the Q stuff, links to different news websites, and the videos from the channel are all posted over here, so you guys can go check that out. A couple other ways you can help out are both financial. You can come over to Patreon, the crowdfunding website. That's patreon.com/JustInformedTalk. You just come here, click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. No, you're helping create content on this channel. If you guys weren't here helping me do this, I would never have made it this far. So thank you for all your help. I also have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Thanks to everybody who helps support the channel that way. Before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And for today's scripture, I'm going to kind of pick up where I left off. I want to go back to Proverbs. I've been reading it, and it's so perfectly fascinating for everything. We're going to go to chapter 28, and this is verse 18. I just want to read this one verse. It says, the one who lives with integrity will be helped, but the one who distorts right and wrong will suddenly fall. That's as simple as it is. You want to break down what all this is about? It's about people who don't have integrity against those who do. And we, the American people, are standing up as men and women of integrity, men and women of righteousness, men and women who are going to stand up against this great evil which has overtaken our incredibly awesome and powerful and great country. And we're going to do it with the help of God, because God above is what is the most important thing. We have to focus on getting our power through Christ our Lord, and remembering that his sacrifice on the cross is why we're able to have our eternal life, and just be thankful for that every day and share that with your family, friends, and loved ones. But that's where I'm going to leave it. I want to say thank you for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Also, the little like button, the thumbs up button, hit it, smash it, punch it, whatever you want to do to it. Just make sure you press it so that they know, or so that I know, I should say, that you guys want to see me make more of this content. But that's going to be it for me. I want to say thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.